come to that item, you can declare then. Approval of agenda, additions and deletions. So I have a bunch of additions. And I printed most of them, and one was there for you. So 10A will be use of chambers by the School of Nursing. 10B will be the MIT project. 10C, accessibility policy, and that's for information, but I think our CAO had it printed here for us. And D is seafood and wine request for a letter of support. Do we have any more additions? Go ahead, Councillor Cleveland.
10E, a request from the TAP program to make another presentation.
TAP, the school.
Yeah, the school program.
Anybody else? You good?
Motion to accept the agenda with the additions that were here.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Presentations, we have two. Okay, so we have 10A, we have shift. Welcome, so come up. Yeah, we're gonna just check the microphone.
Thank you.
So this presentation is up there. It's also on here for our viewers, but it's also in your package. If you decide you want to take notes, I'm sure you read that anyway. Good to go.
Good to go. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm here on behalf of Shift House to present our social enterprise project. It's called the Vibrant Homes Project.
Are you Jared?
What's that, sorry?
Are you Jared?
Yes, Jared Abbott. So the project was initially started by the Tri-County Women's Center when they received funding through a program called the Building Vibrant Communities Project. So that was in November 2018. The project was designed with the desire to keep residents of the community. Initially, it wanted to be for the all of the Tri-County area, but that was quite the distance for one carpenter. So we keep it in the local area, and it was initially designed to keep residents in their home for as long as possible. So as an example, if somebody had accessibility needs, we would provide the services of building a ramp for them to get in their home, or any other maintenance that kept them in their house. And this was initially provided free of labor charges through the grant. So in between the time span of November 2018 to June 2019, we completed 85 services for the community. This included 32 homeowners, and during the time we also employed 4 youth. That was a part of it as well. We wanted to get the youth involved, provide, like, if the youth at Shift House were seeking employment, we would employ them for the small jobs they could assist us with. So with the over 70 participants, we completed over 160 services throughout the community. We found once we got into the homes, people always enjoyed the service and wanted more and had more requests for us. So some of the examples, I won't go through them all here, but we did over 21 window replacements and 6 door replacements and installations and 5 handrail replacements. And there's more up there if you'd like to see. So now at the start of January 2020, we're relaunching as we're calling it Vibrant Homes Phase 2. So the changes that come with Phase 2 are, instead of providing, and I should preface with the new grant, it's the Orange Door Project. They're funding on the basis that the project will become self-sufficient. So what we've done is we've switched the free model to a sliding scale model. So depending on the income of the household in question, we adjust on the sliding scale, and that will include other concerns. So if it's a single mother, we will consider that differently opposed to someone else with no children. but mostly it's depending on income. So another change is we've begun accepting commercial aspects. So instead of just doing homeowners, we are intending on, if any corporations would like to collaborate with us, we will provide the same service for them at our corporate rate, and all the extra money we make on the corporate projects, we will put that back into the project to subsidize the lower income users. Up here we have a testimonial for Matt. He was one of our youth workers in the past. He, back then we also provided snow care, but we won't be doing that going forward because of the safety concerns, and the funder doesn't want that. But he was one of our youth workers, and you'll see up there we have a testimonial from him. He thought it was a great idea. He enjoyed working for the elderly and helping them, but it also gave back to him. It enabled him to receive some extra money and help the community, and he enjoyed that quite a lot. I won't read through these, but here we have the testimonials. We've got nothing but good reviews from our project carpenter. Everyone who's got to work with them has nothing but good things to say. He's went above and beyond for them, and he always provided a level of satisfaction on par with anyone else. So what we are asking for from the town is, first of all, we would like referrals. So as an example, if anybody came calling to you looking for these services, you could refer them to us if it's something that you did not provide. So if anyone calls with concerns about their housing, we would do that. And as well, for partnership, we are asking that if there's any sort of work that the town doesn't want to take on, that you would like to outsource, that we could do that, be it if bylaw concerns, if you were needing to clean up someone's yard, if they're requesting that, we could do something like that. And also advertising. So if we could give you our information, if you'd be willing to advertise it on any of your platforms. And that's all from me. Any questions?
Yeah, what's your local area? You said this is for the local area.
Well, right now,
how far does it go?
we will go quite far. We don't go quite to Shelburne, but we have, we're going to Glenwood, we'll go to Surratt Island, and down the line, we'll go pretty far. Just, we can't afford, with our current budget for the contractors' travel expenses, we can't afford to take jobs in Shelburne or Digby.
So who else are you presenting this to?
Who else? We presented it to, so far, the Hebron municipality as well, and upcoming, we have a meeting with the Argyle municipality.
What,
Go ahead.
what constitutes a job that could be too big for you? Do you have any, did you ever have to turn down any jobs because of the scope and the magnitude of the project?
Before we didn't. Now going forward, where we need to we need to be self-sufficient, so we need to bring money back in. We don't want to accept something too large. Like, right now though, we've agreed this morning to do a 3-week job. So we're pretty lenient, but I wouldn't say we'd do something bigger than a month.
Yeah.
And the only other limit would be the fact that it's just one carpenter. So anything that would require multiple people, we wouldn't be able to accept at this time.
Okay, so, okay, what about, I see we had the nice testimonial from Matt, is he going to be with you guys again this year?
He won't be with us again, but we are advertising. I have the job postings out now. We are still looking for a youth to work for us.
Okay, what's the qualifications that they need? Is it somebody maybe through the community college or?
Yeah, we're working on setting up a meeting with the carpenters there, but the only requirement is that you have to be between the ages of 16 and 29. So we
Okay.
meet that youth bracket.
Okay.
But other than that, we prefer carpentry experience, but
And with
there's no...
that, and one last question, Your Worship, and with that sliding scale that you're going to implement this year, do you foresee that as a problem, or somebody that's on a lower income?
I foresee some potential resistance because we do have the waiting list from the previous year for the people who were under the pretense that it was free labor. So as far as that is concerned, I do foresee some potential issues there because it would be, you wouldn't be too happy to hear your formerly free service is now being charged. But as far as that goes, the sliding scale, it's informal, it's quite fair, we believe.
I think, Your Worship, also maybe that this is an opportunity for these guys to maybe talk to our bylaw enforcement officer. I know there's lots of really, really small things that have to be done on a, you know, sometimes next day basis that I know Russell, some of the larger contractors have a hard time getting to, but I think if you talk to Russell, I think would be advantageous to both of us.
Yeah, for those little pieces,
Yeah.
My
That's our
concern,
bylaw enforcement officer.
yeah, my concern is carpentry work being done by someone who's not a certified carpenter. I don't know how that.
Oh, I apologize for not explaining that clearly. Our carpenter is a certified Red Seal, so he is a certified
Okay,
carpenter.
all right. When you said the only is you have to be between the ages of
Oh,
up to
again,
29, that's,
My apologies.
That's
That
okay.
is our
That's
youth
okay.
apprentice, which is just a helper for our contracted
good,
carpenter.
thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Hood.
So I want to ask some questions that relate to value for money. Could you review again how much work you did the work you did last year?
Yep, sure. I'll bring it back up here. Okay, so we did 85 services, so that's official jobs. But, so it's 85 being that it was less than 85 people, but once we found we were getting in the homes, they requested more services.
I want to focus on the number of windows and doors that you put in.
The what's, oh, the 160?
Next page, yeah, it's the next page.
Next page?
There you go.
Oh, okay. So these are examples of the types of services.
So the window replacements, that's 21 windows?
Yes.
And window maintenance, you fixed 2 windows?
Yeah. That was windows that didn't fully need to be
And-
replaced,
and
but just
door
required.
replacements and installation, that's 6.
Yep.
Door maintenance, 5. Handrail. Deck maintenance, 3. Steps replacements, 4. Weather stripping, 2. Roof maintenance, 3. So how much did it cost to deliver those services?
We had funding of 100,000. That encompassed just the labor. The homeowner was also responsible for the materials. So it cost us, the whole, I don't have the whole funding proposal from the previous one,
How mu-
but it was 35 hours a week for the carpenter.
How much of that, how much of the $100,000 was administration?
Was administration?
Yeah.
May I ask for clarification? Like,
Well, how much was it, how much of that money was used to pay people that don't put hands on tools and do the work?
okay, for people that don't put hands,
People like, do you do go out and do hammer?
no, I don't.
You're an administrator.
Right, okay, so how much of that? It was 15 hours a week is all that's allocated for the person who's setting up the meetings with the
So out of
contract.
$100,000, how much was allocated out of the 100 for administration?
I'll say approximately 18.
18,000?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you good? Any other questions? Good, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your
interesting.
time.
Wait, here comes your buddy, man.
And we have Mr. Robertson, deer population.
That's Wade Cleveland's. I don't recall Wade Cleveland having some good problem with the deer.
I helped you with one last week.
Oh, did you get it? Gone?
Gone, as in
Gone.
$6,000 damage. So was I.
My name is Tom Robertson. I'm the new area manager at the Tuscan office here. I arrived here last May. I worked 20 years in Ontario, but I'm originally from here.
Yay, welcome.
I went to school here.
Malcolm? Okay, now I know exactly who you are.
Is that a good?
If If you don't remember taking me to dinner, that's bad.
This might be recording, so I can't keep track.
Oh, my
It's gonna be a
gosh.
short presentation.
It's gonna be short. Go ahead.
So I want to thank you. This is a problem. I was going to do a presentation, and I thought, why don't we just come here and have a conversation? We're talking to deer population, but I want to hear from you folks. I just heard from you $6,000 damage, where the issues are. Because we're dealing with multiple municipalities. We've talked to the Yarmouth municipality, and Truro and Glasgow have Truro's major issues. There's thousands of deer within the limits. And they're implementing a lot of things that I want to try to bring forward to you folks that may help you. Directly, we'll try to help you as much as we possibly can. But once I hear kind of your concerns, I can kind of lay out what we need. And
Okay.
it's a tough subject because of where we live. We could take every deer out of Yarmouth and get rid of them,
Okay.
but next year, you're gonna have them right back in, right? So, we just like to have an open discussion, and like me to kind of throw some ideas of what we've done in other places.
I think the open discussion works, and then we can just do the back and forth. So we have far too many deer. People will, and people feeding the deer, putting out piles of carrots, piles of apples, leftovers. And I'm just gonna say it because I'm the mayor that people say, the mayor hates animals. I love animals, but wild animals don't belong in a town. So I would fine them tens of thousands of dollars. I would just do that, but I don't know if council would let me get away with it. So we have to find a way to help educate people on the fact that stop feeding the deer. The response to that is always, if we weren't intruding on their land, I don't believe that. There's far more land out there. We're a mile by 2 miles, Jeff? It's something like that. We're a very, very small town. So that's just simply not true, that there's not enough space out there for, but when you get hand-fed a good meal every day, that's where you're gonna come. And it's costing, on top of that, it's costing a lot of our property owners a lot of money, like thousands and thousands of dollars. The plants, I can't even speak for Communities in Bloom, but you put tens of thousands of dollars worth of plants out, they get eaten. It's a real problem. Somebody lost his life a couple years ago in town, banged into a deer on a motorcycle and lost his life. One life is way too many, way too many. And I'll stop there, but we need some help. It's a bad problem, and I'll go ahead, Don.
The mayor already stole my thunder, but however, the person that got killed on the motorcycle was my brother-in-law.
Sorry to hear that.
There's many times it's a lot of damage. A lot of us as drivers, even driving the speed limit, we have to keep our eyes open on a split second. Many times they're coming out of where water is, over top of a water ravine and jumping out, jumping over vehicles, on vehicles, and all that particular stuff. Our concern is, you said it would take 1 year to get rid of them and then they'd be back again. I guess we're looking for, or I am looking for, a long-term answer to our problem. Short-term will be great, but if we can't fix it over a long-term, then again, what's it take? Another life? Every life is valuable. I know damage to vehicles and the amount of money that they spit out of their pocket just by covering the damage from the insurance package that you have to add on to your premiums. But it's that it could be another life and then another life. I guess we're looking for some way that we can say that we've at least slowed down the problem, okay? Or even if there is one, then we're looking for a major fix. So I'm really curious to see what kind of suggestions you're coming up with. But you can go out in your backyard in many nights, and I don't feed them. And I bet you I have 4 or 5 just stand around my building. Just no partying, I guess. But it does frustrate you that they're there. I'm nervous of all animals. It's just, dog chased me when I was a kid, pulled my sister's hair out. So I'm afraid of everything, rats, snakes, anything. But I'm not afraid of humans. So even deer. I went to a buddy's the other night and I walked through his backyard and the first thing that's looking me in the face is a deer. So I slithered by the corner because I don't know what they're going to do. But my nature is, unfortunately, that's what I've grown up to be, a little nervous of those things. And they're beautiful to people that feed them, I believe, but unfortunately, they're a major hazard in the town. You say Truro has a problem, I'd say we're darn close to this exact same problem. That they did have a few solutions. We were probably going to follow their model. It fell through. So we're looking for other suggestions that might not fall through. So I'm looking for you, really looking for an answer. Thank you for listening to me.
Absolutely, Don. It's a very difficult situation. We, Department of Lands and Forestry, is not going to eliminate the issue. I can tell you there's no way, we have nothing in place that we can just say we're going to get rid of the deer. We have to know, one of the things that we ask people is like, how big is the population? We need to know that, right? So through our program, we run PGIs. They're called pellet group inventories, where we run these tracks. We ask the towns and municipalities, if you're capable of doing the same thing, to give us an estimate of how many animals we're dealing with. We would like to see that. And it's a roadside, basically, thing that people drive. And we'll set it up for you, but we don't have the person power to be able to do this because we have our, other things that we have to do also, right? But we cannot eliminate the deer. And I can be honest, and I think everyone knows that. I cannot eliminate the raccoons or the geese. But the big thing that, and you guys don't mind if I call you by your first names?
No.
The big thing, Pam, that you talked about is huge. The bird feeders, the carrots. Zach Churchill and I had a conversation here 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's driving down the road, he sees 7 deer in the yard and goes, wow, look at that. As he gets closer, he looks and there's also an orange pile sitting there.
Yeah.
This is right in the town limits. We can't enforce a law in here. That's the bylaws that you have to. And the bird feeders, those sunflower seeds and those seeds, the bird feeders are just as much attractors of deer. So how do we eliminate that? Because, and you talk about the garden, is one of the favorite plants you plant hostas by any chance?
Yummy.
And we laugh about it, but welcome to the favorite, that's like candy to a baby, to deer. And the hostas is one of them, right? And that's another issue, is that when you do, you got to find those plants that do not attract deer. And you get pretty limited. And the gardens get very limited. So I'd love to come here and say, gosh, I would love to herd them all out and get them out of the town for you, but I cannot make that promise to you because the issue is reoccurring. And statistics go a long ways with us, probably with you folks too. Like, how many car accidents was there? Like, you can tap into the local RCMP here, get statistics for us for how many car accidents occurred. Let's set up some type of deer survey where we can find out what exactly the population we're dealing with at the time. And then, like Truro, and I'm going to throw this out because I don't exactly know where the town limits are. I have a pretty good idea. I live out in Overton and I see the town limits. Would you be willing to put a season in here to hunt?
Would we be willing to what?
Put a season in the town limits to hunt. But then you got to think about this.
Yeah.
You put a school,
Yeah.
the high school, you cannot discharge a bow, a firearm of any type 880 meters from a school.
Yeah, so we are such a small, compact town.
Exactly.
It's different. I think Truro has
Victoria Park.
their park, so it's a different ballgame there because they have wide open space. We don't have that. That's not attached to a school.
And I'll give you an interesting statistic from Truro. So they did open up an area for bow hunting because the bow is less intrusive. It's, you know, me to the window, away from the deer. Problem is when you shoot them with the bow, if you don't kill them, what do? They run away.
Yeah.
So now you got to track them. And they were ending up in people's yards.
Yeah.
That didn't go over well. So they did open up an area. In the spring of the year, there was literally hundreds of deer in that area, the park that you're talking about. So they thought, oh, let's open it up. In the fall of the year, there was 2 deer taken out of that park. Because snow melts, all kinds of grass, in come the deer, they feed well, snow's all gone, deer disperse. So that's where you run into that other issue, right? There might be 40 deer standing in this field right here today, you know, if the rest of the country's still snowpacked. But then once the fall comes, they disperse because it's mating season and everything else, right? I would love, Don, to give you the perfect answer. I don't have the perfect answer because it's an issue that is, we're dealing with it. And within the town limits, we become more limited because it is your bylaws that will do the enforcement. We will help you as much as you can. Like setting up these surveys, if you guys want to do that, biologist would come in and help you set these surveys up. And it has to be a set route that's driven, especially morning and dark is when you really want to do it, at dusk. And it has to be in this fall and then again in the spring. Because in the fall you'll get a count, in the spring you'll get another count. How many fawns are they having? Are they having these fawns right in town? How fast is the population increasing, right? So I wish I could get the perfect answer for you, but I cannot give you the perfect answer. Hostas, I'm glad you stopped planting those because huge issue. And everybody says they come and eat my garden. They eat all my flowers, and that's the #1 flower they go to. So I don't know if I'm not trying to beat around the bush. I just really want to be honest with you that we'll do what we can to help you, but we cannot come in here and shoot deer.
Okay. Cliff, go ahead.
I got
Sorry.
a couple of questions. So would you have an opinion on whether a lack of hunting pressure on the animals has impact on their behaviors and where they congregate and so on?
I think the weather has had a bigger impact. They're not having the harsh winters anymore.
Yeah. okay.
So
So there's just a lot more of them?
They're populating, and how much pressure do they get in town?
You know, yeah, look, I remember when you couldn't even hunt a deer in Yarmouth County.
That's right.
They were that scarce.
I remember that too. I was here.
All right, so
Yeah, I remember. I know exactly
we're
what you're
all
talking
chasing
about.
up Digby County, sneaking them over the border, but anyway. Or some people were. So the other question I have is this. The last time we had a go-around of this, we received some information in our council packages, and one was a publication from the department. And I was surprised to see that one of the methods that was listed was sharpshooters to kill them. And I said, oh, I wonder if they've ever done that in Nova Scotia. And if they have they done them in a town, like waived the restrictions over house by using professional or, you know, people that are qualified to do the harvesting of the deers? I'll use the kind word harvesting, because if you harvested a bunch of them, there might even be an opportunity to truly harvest them, butcher them, hang them, and distribute the meat somewhere where
It can be used.
it would be of good
Yes.
use, right?
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I know that in the departments, there's 4 or 5 mitigation measures, and one of them is sharpshooting.
That wasn't the province of Nova Scotia that did that, was
It was the
it? I think it was New York,
province,
was it?
yes. It was
Okay.
like a brochure thing we had in our package.
I'm glad you mentioned the brochure because we're in the process of creating one ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's a to-do and not to-do for you to give to residents.
Anyway, I personally think the only way we're going to solve the problem is something like that. Or else we're going to be putting up with them. That's it.
Sorry?
I think that you've got to eliminate them to be kind. You've got to harvest them, or else we're going to be putting up with them indefinitely.
It won't stop. No matter what you do, the
Well,
harvesting.
you'll keep coming, but if you want to dampen down the numbers,
Yes,
you're gonna have to harvest them.
yes. And if you find the areas, even around the town,
Yeah.
there's corridors that the deer will come in.
Yeah.
There's certain corridors that they come in. Meadowfield School, 880 meters, but Meadowfield School area is a corridor. They will come in that way. They won't swim across the ocean, but
I've heard all those stories, like out at our airport, it has a fence all the way, a wire fence, right? And the top is like that, and the theory going around was that they built it the wrong way to keep the deer in for the guys that worked at the airport. That was going around 25 years ago.
you want it out this way,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And a deer will jump an 8 to 10 foot
I've
fence.
seen, I have a backyard.
Yeah. So, I know there's some more questions,
Yeah,
so,
can-
yeah.
Can you, the whole corridor piece, can these biologists come in? Do they, what do you call it? I'd say tag them. Do they tag them and figure out where they're going so that you might not be able to do this in town, but you might be able to do it a mile outside of town?
Yeah, so with the discussion with the municipality, I was a part of a wildlife where we live trapped deer, and not very successful, because it is a very hard thing to do. Are they gonna come in and immobilize and tranquilize deer for that? Probably not. That's more a distressed animal type thing, right? And it's really tough for us because we got a group here that's saying we gotta get rid of them. I'm also on that We Love Nova Scotia or Love Yarmouth site on Facebook. And I'm continually seeing pictures of deer, how much I love having the deer in their backyard.
Oh.
And it's just and I can just
Yeah.
imagine the struggle that you folks have too.
Yeah, so don't ever go to social media, number one, to get your answers, because you know what? I have them in my backyard too. And you snap a picture and you say, aren't they beautiful?
Exactly.
And you hit send, you post it, and then in the next breath, I'm just saying, if I had a gun,
Yes.
right? So,
And that's
So
the
it's-
thing is like, the amount of people that love having them here and the amount of people that don't love having them here. And one of the things, and we can supply for you, if you want to send a questionnaire, they did this in New Glasgow. It was very interesting, the results that they got back. So it was not an online thing. They literally mailed them out to each person. I have a copy of one right here that New Glasgow did. And I think it would be great for you folks, not trying to give you suggestions, but it'll give you a good idea of what exactly you're dealing with population-wise. Is there 80% of the people don't like them? Is there 10% of the people don't
but
like
is
them?
the question, do people like them, or do people not understand the dangers of deer? Like, I don't know
Great
if they're.
questionnaire here. Like, I could
Right?
show you.
I've-
It tells you, it gets right into that, you know.
See, to me, that's like just going to social media and asking social media, what do you think? You just don't do that,
Yeah.
right? It's a, go ahead. Phil.
And I know, might steal some of Councillor Cleveland's thunder, but I know Todd from our Parks Department has incorporated and implemented a lot of things like, I think we had the conversation several months ago in the municipality there in the kitchen area with the councillors. I know Todd has incorporated how he does plantings for our Parks Department now. So he's trying to eliminate some of those things that bring the population in and kind of drive them away. Do you think the other thing is her worship was talking about safety, do you think, Malcolm, that's the reason that we seem to have more Lyme disease? Do they carry ticks and bring them in? I know at one time, if you played golf in Yarmouth, for 25, Donnie would know this, for 25 or 30 years, we didn't see a tick down there. If you played golf in Pubnico or Clare, there's a really good opportunity that you might get a tick on you by the end of the day. But now here just right here in town, you have to check yourself after you play. Like the deers, they carry a lot of ticks.
Deer carry a lot of ticks. Birds carry a lot of ticks. The black-legged tick is the one you want to worry about.
Yeah.
And deer are not the reason why the ticks have Lyme. Ticks are producing the Lyme on their own.
Yeah.
And I could get into a conversation about ticks if you want, but
Yeah.
they're very potent, they're getting very bad. And the Lyme disease is going to be a huge issue because I don't know, has anybody had Lyme disease? 4 people in our
But we
office.
know people
Our
have
solicitor
that.
did.
4 people in our office
Yeah.
has had Lyme disease
Mike?
because we're continually in it, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is the tiniest little tick now will carry just as much Lyme disease as the big tick will carry. And this is where we had a guy that literally we had to put a microscope or a magnifying glass to get the tick off. It was that tiny. So it's going to be an issue, but deer are not the reason why they have Lyme, no.
Okay.
No, but they have them.
Pardon
The ticks, the deer carry the ticks.
Absolutely.
Regardless of why,
Yep.
the deer carry the ticks. The deer are in my backyard. My dog's in my backyard. The tick gets on the dog and brings it into the house, lands on my grandchild.
The ticks are going to be transported by birds, dogs, cats.
Exactly. But deer too, right?
Deer
So-
too, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So, Your Worship,
Yeah.
you're going to give us a copy of that one from New Glasgow? That
I'll get you a copy of it.
Yep.
I just kind of wanted to, because this has a person's name on it.
Yep.
So I can't give you that one.
Yep.
Okay.
But we'll get a copy of it. And it's just something, I'm just trying to give you something that give you more discussion pieces, I guess, when it comes to talking to higher up people that could make.
Good, Don?
Has there been any kind of talk about increasing during the season, increasing the amount of deer to the deer hunters that they're allowed to take 2 or 3?
They can now.
They're cut down. They can now.
Yes, you can obtain extra licenses.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I was just curious about
Yeah.
that. Because maybe that would be the start of decreasing out there, which would start decreasing in here.
And-
But if that's so, then you answered my question.
Yeah, so like Cliff said, I mean, the population, they're amazing, like wildlife is amazing. You can take, but the problem is we don't have the hunting pressures like we used to. Because what happened, the deer went through a real lull. A lot of people stopped hunting and never got back into it. So we're trying to build up more and more people wanting to get out there and hunt because it's a great recreational thing and it helps us with issues like this, right? But from when I left to when I came back here, there's no hunters out there compared to there used to be. I used to be a conservation officer, by the way, too, so. And I would check hundreds of hunters in a fall, and I would see a lot of deer. But now I'm seeing a lot of deer, but I'm not seeing the amount of hunters. Yeah. It'd be great if we had more people that could do that. It would be.
Where do we go from here, Jeff?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I had a couple questions.
Sure.
Is there still a limitation that you can only take bucks?
No, so you can get the doe tags too. You can apply and get the doe, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and the other thing, you mentioned a couple of times bylaws. What specifically, is it the feeding of the deer that is the bylaw issue?
It's one thing for bird feeders, and I think if you tried to eliminate bird feeders, you would have a lot of angry people, right? The carrots, the apples, that's the ones that we need to stop, because the thing is they're not dropping, like my neighbor, she throws out 4 or 5 carrots, all right? But I'm driving by houses that have bags of carrots. That's a lot of food, that's a lot of nutrients, and that's a lot of strength. So what you're giving them is not just the ability to strengthen, but the ability to breed more, because the food source is there. They will strengthen, they'll be stronger. The does will start having 2 fawns and 3 fawns because they're strong and they're eating really nutritious carrots. And they are, you know.
And when you're in town, it's, they get stronger and all that. But when you put food out for these wild animals, you're inviting them into your neighborhood, right? Like if my neighbor puts them out, they're as good as inviting them onto my property. I just don't want them.
And you're inviting something you're probably not going to want either, and those are the coyotes.
Yeah.
The coyotes will come.
Jeff. Go ahead, sorry. I gotta stop doing that.
Then the rats, birdseed especially. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, no. So you mentioned a couple times as well that you have a process by which we can quantify the population. What would be the purpose of that? What does the number change?
So what it does, it gives us an idea of what you're dealing with for number one. And it would be good for you folks to know exactly what you're dealing with. Usually when the number we kind of go is 4 deer per kilometer. you know, which would be probably a little more than that in this area, right? So it also gives us the ability to say, okay, when we're looking at this amount, the worst thing is we quantify it, and then we allow you to have tags. If you have the area to hunt, we'll give you tags to go shoot these deer. But we got to know the numbers of the deer before we allow that. So that's kind of where that fits into the picture. So
But we can't hunt here.
you can, within a town, if you can find an area to hunt and allow that to happen, shotguns are less intrusive. Don't go high-powered rifles. Shotguns with slugs, SSG, less intrusive. But again, you got to get people, and that's one of the questions you can ask. Would the people agree with us opening up an area to allow hunting a deer? And deer are very smart. They like to feed at night. And you may shoot one, you may shoot two, and if anybody hunts in here, you can sit in a tree stand for a long time before you see another one, right?
Yeah.
They're very smart. And you see it here. I mean, they wait for cars to go by before they cross the road, you know, because they've learned to adapt to humans.
Yeah.
And they're doing a very good job out of it. I would love to have the perfect answer for you. I do not have the perfect answer for you.
Okay.
But I would do whatever I can. If you have any questions, please.
So you think if people stop feeding them at the rate they're feeding them, that may help a little bit?
Absolutely will. I guarantee it will. I guarantee, because bags of apples and bags of carrots, like I can understand someone throwing a couple carrots out to feed the deer and get a couple of pictures and then that's the end of it. But if you constantly keep feeding them, and I know there's a couple of people, I'm not saying houses, but up in that Walmart area, they're very good at feeding them.
Yeah.
And when I drive through there, I'm just like you. You're on the edge of your seat looking. At night, it's worse. You know, in the daytime is one thing. At night,
Yeah.
so
Any more questions for this gentleman? We're gonna ask for next steps. We gotta do
Are we
something.
going to do the
This is-
survey?
I'd like to look at it first.
Well, the
Yeah.
survey is,
Yeah, so I think we should get a copy of the survey and have a look at that. And, you know, our communications officer is present here. There's some things we can do that are education, so if you have
absolutely, that
brochures or-
pamphlet. Once that pamphlet's developed,
Yep.
I mean that will be given to you folks at no cost
Perfect.
to distribute to you.
Right.
And what's the population base, if you don't mind me asking?
6,700.
How much?
6,700
60
going on
within the
10,000.
town.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Truro would have a good bylaw? Would that be your suggestion?
Truro will open the season so they could hunt,
Yeah.
which is not being as productive as they thought it would be. New Glasgow, New Glasgow right now is the survey, and even if you reached out to them, I know they would support you and giving you the survey of what they had, and then you guys can basically adjust it to what you would need.
Okay.
And when I just to qualify this, when I say don't go to social media, it's because when we're dealing in the town, we have just found that the folks that reply are not from the town. So it's hard to judge what the people in town want unless you are sending that letter out to those addresses, right? So that the folks in town are the ones that are informing us as to what's important.
And
That's what I mean.
And the big thing is, that's why I mentioned it, Pam, is don't go online.
Yeah.
Because when you go online, anybody can answer it.
Yeah,
It
we
has
have
to
to.
be a paper copy delivered directly to the person
Yeah,
or their address.
what do you think? Anything else?
I guess you mentioned one hotspot. Is there any other hotspots that you can perceive or that you know of where they're coming in? For example, Haley Road, over by the airport, Chabot area,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But I can picture Meadowfields behind I referee soccer, so.
Kind of
I
that
just
whole
picture
swings
behind
around
that
right to the
whole
highway.
Sweeping area behind there that leads
Yeah.
out to the water tower and places like that. I can just picture that one. I'm just trying to find out, is there any other spot that you think that they
And this is-
possibly could be coming across and in, because they're crossing somewhere?
Yes, and this is where even that roadside survey that we do, New Glasgow's completed one. I'm pretty sure they completed theirs and did it. And they were fairly successful. And it could be just, but again, you're tying up people. I don't know if you could have the volunteers to do it, but you have to have a pattern of doing it at a certain time consistently. Because if you break away from that, you're not going to get that
What you
quantitative
get,
number that you
yeah.
want, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, I wrote a couple other things down here. I'm just trying to make sure that, yeah, I think I covered everything.
Good.
I think I did.
All right, well, we didn't fix it, but
Well-
we're glad we got something to go with.
I'm very proactive. I'm here to help. I don't know if you've talked to the municipality. I work with them as much as I possibly can in projects and stuff. So if I can ever help, please don't hesitate and give me a call. Send me an email.
So Lindsay, you're gonna work with him and get that, all right, and then
Yeah.
we'll be in touch.
Okay? Please
Good.
do. Sorry I couldn't give you all the perfect
No,
answers.
that's all right. Next time
Don't
you
plan
will.
hostas, okay?
Don't plan hostas.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, folks. It was nice meeting everybody, and hopefully we'll see more of each
Yeah,
other.
good
Take
stuff.
care.
Okay, CAO report. Anything from the for the CAO? Okay. Go ahead.
I just see the skate park on here. It says 25% done. I talked to some of the kids, and we're going to meet next week just to move forward with the skate park idea. So just to get an idea how to split it up and who will get what piece to paint, and then we'll move forward for that. So there may be a request down the road for some financial, support in that, but we are still moving forward with the skate park. So
Good to know. Good stuff. Anything else on the report? Okay, fire department report. There's not one? Or anything on the chief?
Yeah, the only thing to report there is that we've received some applicants, and we're scheduling interviews, and so nothing more concrete than that to report at this time.
Good. Operational services, Chad's here. Any questions for Chad? Chad, did you need to tell us anything, or?
How's the feedback on the new tokens, the new, whatever we call them, the new chips for the bus?
I've had no active feedback yet. We've only been using them for 4 days, but,
Usually if you're gonna get feedback, they'll whack you the first couple of days, right?
what's that?
Usually if you're gonna get feedback, they'll whack you good the first
Yeah,
couple of days.
I've heard no negative talk, so that's good.
Good.
Go ahead there, Chad.
Just on the transit, again, I
Yep.
noticed in your report that ridership in January was up 25% over last January?
Yeah.
So do you have any thoughts on why that is, other than just great service?
No, if you look at my reports every month, the ridership has trended upwards for the last 3 years, so no particular reason, just good news.
Yeah, it's
Deputy
excellent.
Mayor says the bus is working, that's what it is.
Yeah, that helps, yeah. Yeah, could
people
be,
like
yeah.
to get out.
Yeah.
People like to get out, you're right. Yeah.
Yep.
We have. Good, anything else for Chad? Good, thank you. That's it. Planning Department. Anything there? No. Asset Management. That's Mark. Oh, is this the engineer? No, that's next. That's it. You look like you're ready to be grilled.
I'm all ready for,
Anything you want to share with us? I'm glad that the ferry terminal's up and going, and absolutely no fear of that interfering with the running of the ferry. That's always the number one question.
right.
And it's been worked around that. So we have a tender recommendation for the Glebe Street today. Yeah, that's good to go. Any questions for Mark? How fast are we going on that fire hall upstairs?
The tile removal starts on Monday,
Okay.
and the tender will be out in April. Planning to be finished in the fall.
Okay, that's good news. Good. Anything else? Good to go. Thank you. MCIP Milestone 2 update to Mario. Ooh, we got a PowerPoint. We don't have anything from Frank? Oh, there's a report in there, okay. All right. There you go.
He knows what he's doing. You know, all the confidence in the mayor.
Good afternoon, Your Worship, councillors and CAO. I'm just here to present an update for MCIP. This is Milestone 2. Just a quick reminder, this is a 2-year project that ends in February 2021 with contractually required deliverables. This project is split into 3 phases. The first phase is a GHG inventory and GHG emissions reduction plan. The second phase is operational and institutional changes, and the third phase is planning and implementation of climate mitigation projects. I will also briefly touch on past projects over the last 20 years that can be considered climate change related. And then we'll have a quick look ahead and the conclusion. Feel free to ask any questions in the middle of the presentation because I will be showing some data. So for phase 1, I started a draft of the GHG reduction plan, and I've also completed the GHG 2016 corporate inventory calculations. That took about 4 months. That was very data intensive. The numbers, which you'll see on the slide after this, reflect a population that has a high ratio of infrastructure per person, but this should not be viewed in a negative light. The town of Yarmouth was created explicitly for that purpose. And then finally, I believe that the goal for the town of Yarmouth could be to have a situation where the non-GHG energy production we make will equal the GHG energy production. Essentially, our savings will equal our production of GHG. That could be a goal. So if you'll turn your attention to the GHG fuel type, as you can see, the majority of our...
Just going to interrupt, the mayor just whispered to me, what is GHG? So let's throw that out there just to...
My apologies.
No, don't apologize. I apologize. I just must have been in La La Land because I know that.
Yeah, greenhouse gases.
Yes. Thank you.
No problem.
You can throw me under the, I get thrown under the bus on a regular basis. I'm comfortable under a bus.
No worries.
Not our bus.
We like our buses. Yeah. So back to the slideshow. GHG by fuel type, you'll see that 67% is attributed to electricity that we consume, and the other 20% is by landfill. So you're probably wondering, okay, landfill's not a fuel type. Yes, you're correct. But the way that particular inventory method works is that it aggregates all of the landfill activity under a fuel type. It's just the way that it works. And then if we look at GHG by sector, sectors being buildings, are municipal fee, street lights, water and sewage, and solid waste being also landfill activities. Once again, 48% is attributed to buildings, and 22% is attributed to water and sewage. The buildings and water and sewage would predominantly be electricity demands. Now, this is just a quick look at the past 20 years. Thank you, Chad, for this information, my resident historian. Active transportation, we've had 20 new or full replacement of sidewalks and four trails, Broadbrook Trail, Pleasant Street, Maud Lewis, and the Bob Hartland Trail. And then in terms of water conservation, very proactive water utility has delivered 295 water main break repairs since 1999 and 5 sewer separation projects. On to phase 2. Just a reminder, phase 2 is operational and institutional changes. I've helped to develop a new policy and bylaw amendment that is trying to tackle the current excessive plastic problem that we have in the town of Yarmouth Compost Facility. And in terms of technical training, I've attended 2 sessions, FCM tips on grant writing and stacking, and also the REN energy session, which was very interactive. I will say I was very pleased with that. And then phase 3, some of these updates were already provided in the Toyange report, but Glebe Street sewer separation, which I'm currently the lead project manager on, the aim of that project is to remove rainwater from the sewer so that our plant doesn't have to process it, which will reduce our electricity demand, which will reduce the amount of GHGs produced. And then Broadbrook design. Currently, we have a consultant that's in the discussion phases, but the objective of that project is to increase the throughput of Broadbrook to reduce the demand on our stormwater infrastructure. And then green energy projects. As of this week, the Public Works solar panel is up and running, and we have a monitoring link so we can see how many GHGs are being saved on a daily basis for that, in addition to the compost facility, which was completed last year.
Was Public Works has that been running since we put them up, or is it just starting?
Just this week. As of this week, it's
okay.
all good to go.
Oh, all righty.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, just on the solar, the Mariner Center installation is underway.
Yes, it is in progress as well. Yes.
I didn't even know about that. Awesome. Because of the roof.
Yep. So looking ahead, once again, this is 2 of 4 milestone projects completed. It ends in February 2021. The main thing for milestone 3 will be a series of public engagement sessions. I hope to engage TAPS and a couple, I guess you could say, stakeholders from private industry and even the public, and then also to increase technical education, whether it be in the town of Yarmouth staff or in the general public or even our municipal partners, if an opportunity presents itself.
We'll create an opportunity.
Thank you. And then finally, I would like to thank Mike for his help making this slideshow.
Mike's golden, that's for sure.
Any questions?
Yeah, Councillor Cliff.
So you did 295 water main breaks repaired, and we're claiming that as a big deal on our water conservation. We repair those things when they come up and when they break, regardless of whether we did any. We've always done that. These aren't new things we've done to be proactive and fix the water mains. In the last 20 years, we've had 295 breaks and we fixed them. In the previous 20 years, I'm sure we did the same darn thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
So let's be honest about these things. It looks good, fill in the blanks, make it look good. It's sort of like, no, I'm not going to.
No, listen, no, in fairness, it says at the top, past, this is past, right?
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I think it's, Chad would speak to this better than I can, but I know that the town has taken on specific efforts around leak detection and as well replace parts of the old transmission line. And so I don't think there's,
At night? Bring a gun in case you see a deer. Just kidding, that'll get me in trouble. Okay, so questions? You're having fun with it. You seem to be enjoying it and learning a lot, which is really important because it's, the knowledge we get as a town is really important.
It gives us a benchmark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Move forward. That's the important part of this work.
Yeah.
Collating this material and then the benchmark. Hopefully we'll have fewer water leaks next time.
I'm glad you can smile. Because
Thank
we
you
have
for
to
your-
sit at the table with him. And we wouldn't trade him for anything.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for your time.
Excuse me, I don't have corona or anything. Finance.
Good money, Jim?
Just a quick update. The report is attached for the high-level statements, showing that we're tracking pretty good. Still got a couple months left from that statement. That's the January statement. So February, March, hope to make up the difference. I also went through and did an update in the last couple days of the, I guess, where we were trying to cut back and not do some projects to kind of save ourselves on our bottom line.
We were trying to cut back on what projects?
Different maintenance lines and different
Oh,
things.
maintenance. I didn't hear
From
you.
November, we brought the concern of some revenues not showing up and some unexpected expenses. So we put a plan together, and I went through reports in the last couple days to kind of give myself an update, and I'm comfortable or feel pretty good about where we are as opposed to what that plan was. So a lot of moving parts. So I can't say, yes, we'll be there, or no, we won't, but from what I can tell, looking through the statements, it looks like we'll be pretty good or pretty close to what our plan was. So let you know that.
Very good. Any questions for Jerry?
How are the hockey games this weekend here down in the state?
Travel was good. Hockey was,
Fly, good?
yeah, it does all right. Playing with a broken wrist right now, or broken thumb, but
Oh,
He's a hockey player.
doesn't stop her
that's
though.
hockey.
That's
That's
hockey,
right.
right? That's what your father would say.
That's
Part of the game.
Yeah.
Now, good for her.
Okay.
All righty, we good? Finance, Yarmouth Recreation, so Frank's report is attached. Economic Development, Natalie.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them from my report.
Anything for Natalie? Guess we're good. Anything you need to share with us that's extra?
It's all good.
It is all good, isn't it? Okay, business, Public Transit Advisory Committee appointments. CAO?
Yep. Okay, so, Your Worship, we passed a policy amendment that creates the Public Transit Advisory Committee. It does indicate that the committee will consist of 7 elected and/or volunteer members appointed by council. And so we haven't yet sought the applications from the public if you wish to have public members. So that, I guess, is...
We have to have public comment.
Okay. So we will advertise for public members, and we will bring you whatever applications we have, I guess if that's your choice. Would you like a nomination, create an ad hoc nominating committee to review those and bring a recommendation to the next committee of the whole?
Yes.
Okay, so
Definitely. Thank you, Wade.
Why don't we appoint 2 or 3 members of council to review those?
Who wants in? Philip?
I make a motion, Your Worship, that myself, Councillor Steve Beard, Councillor Cleveland.
Okay, have a seconder?
To the, you call it the steering committee or?
Uh,
To the nominating.
Nominating committee for Public Transit Advisory. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. All right, in the meantime, are you going out to? Yeah.
We'll solicit citizen applications and
So do we only have, we have to do that for 2 weeks? Is that how that works, or is that?
a couple weeks and
Okay.
put it out through social media and so on.
Good. We good on that one, folks? Grants to organizations. So what we want to do with that is set a date when we can get together as a council. And then, yeah, go ahead.
Maybe, Your Worship, if I may, and
Too late now, I gave you the microphone.
yeah, so we have received the applications for grants, and we've circulated, Lindsay's done up a spreadsheet for you to use as your own personal worksheet. And I guess what we should do is we should establish a date by which those will be returned, give you time to review the applications. All of the applications are online on a committee of the whole agenda with today's date. So if you go on our website, all the applications are there. You just choose committee of the whole and choose today's date. There are 2 agendas. One is the agenda we're working for this meeting, and the other lists all the applications, and you can see them all there. I would suggest that maybe the date to have your spreadsheets in be right around the next committee of the whole meeting. So we could say maybe 2 days before the next committee of the whole, and Lindsay can remind councillors if they're late coming in, or if we're getting closer to the deadline. What we typically do is we take whatever allocations you've made and we average them, and we provide that back to you as a recommendation for the operating grants. So,
Go ahead, Glenn.
So you got 4 late ones, what are you gonna do with those? Just asking.
Is there only one?
There's 4, or on this thing here, it says 4 of them are late.
Yeah.
Did they come in late or? They came in late.
So why are they on the, so my question is simple, why are they on the list?
I can answer that question, is that in the past, when late submissions have come in, what we have told the submitters is that we will bring them forward, and it's up to council whether or not you consider them.
I'll make a motion that the late ones be placed on the list and included, but that the entities that were late be advised that if they're late again, they may not be placed on the list in a future year.
Fair.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. What I would say, I don't know what's wrong with me, but what I would say is I strongly suggest council to send any questions you have for further information through Lindsay. I've had a few already. For example, the Tri-County Women's Center is listed on both the grants and the tax grants because they asked it to be divided up. Just things like that if you have questions on it. Yeah.
So there was
I'd love us to have a discussion.
So we have a note here, addition, request from Seafood Wine Extravaganza
Yeah.
for letter of support, requested financials from last year, this budget attached.
So
Is that different from
it's,
the request on?
yeah, so the addition is for a request for a letter of support. okay? All they're asking for is a letter from us.
But
So-
I don't have,
So what I asked for was their financials.
yeah,
Do you have those?
no, I'm just, oh. So that, it would be in that.
It's in that grant piece.
So that letter would be
Yeah,
used
yeah.
for,
Yeah, take
Your
a,
Worship, that letter would probably be used for other grant applications, either to our federal or provincial counterparts?
yes. Yeah, we just got it. I think you should take a look at that paperwork before we'll get to that one later, but
Well, so is it a letter of support for something that's greater than what they request here?
no, it's just a letter of support.
For what?
Um,
For something different than what's on here or
Sorry
not?
about that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my understanding, without having the letter in front of me, is that they're applying to, I believe, the provincial government, maybe through Communities, Culture and Heritage, for a grant, and they need they're requesting a letter of support for that grant application to higher level of government. In addition to that, they've submitted a grant application to the town of Yarmouth for financial support.
So that's what I'm trying to nail down
Yeah.
here. Is anything we give or allocate in this exercise here included in that?
It is not a financial support they're looking for at this point in the letter. Is it included in that? We don't need to know the amount of the grant in order to provide the letter of support, if that's what you're asking. Maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Well, it sounds like they're looking for more money than what they're asking for here.
So if you printed it out, because Don's number is wrong, the ask for them is $10,000.
Well, that's
You
what,
might have $1,000 listed on yours.
no, it's got 10,000.
Okay, Don's has 1,000 because we just changed it today.
If the ask from us is 10,000, are they asking for more from the province or somebody else?
Yes.
Yeah.
And who else?
So the budget, can we bring that, have we got a copy of that?
I can bring it up.
Yeah, I'll have to dig around.
Yeah, no, that's okay, it's fair, that's
Is it here
fair.
or is it- No, it's on the other one. Just be a second.
Question would be, how many others are asking for two places?
What's the size of the project that you're doing?
Yeah, it should be just,
They're asking for 10 from us.
for sure.
They spend it.
There might be a couple more, but I'll take a peek, yeah. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead. Yeah, a lot of light, it's okay, yours.
So the budget they've submitted and is attached to their grant application, they're asking the town of Yarmouth for $10,000. They're also requesting $10,000 from each of the municipality of Yarmouth and Argyle.
Yes.
They're budgeting a $5,500 corporate sponsorship from Atlantic Superstore, and they're requesting $14,500 from Communities, Culture and Heritage. And it is that grant request that they're looking for in the letter of support.
Well, that kind of will inevitably, does that not sort of lock us into the 10,000? If their project includes all of those components, and they're making a pitch to the province, and they're probably going to say to the province, we've got 10, 10, and 10, we need 14 from you. Doesn't that, if we jump on that and give them a letter of support, aren't we saying we're going to give you 10 grand? And I'm not ready, that's not something I've decided to do yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Have I got that right?
Yeah, yes and no. But that's the paperwork there.
I'll
That's
take
what
the
I was
yes
gonna-
part.
Here's long and short, they're asking for a letter of support. We are not going to be held to any number, but I think we all know when you give a letter of support, you've looked at the budget and you've said, this makes sense. So we need to look at the budget first, in my opinion, before we just write a letter.
I agree, 100%.
So Cliff, I just dropped the budget
Yeah, okay.
for when we get to that item. Okay, so are we okay on this grants to organizations, Jeff? Do we need anything else?
So if we can just confirm that on the Tuesday, on the Monday preceding the March Committee of the Whole. Do you know the date? Yeah. On the 23rd of March, that we will have all of the spreadsheets in from the councillors and the mayor, that we'll be able to put back out to you in advance of the meeting, the recommendation that'll be coming forward for the grants. And then you can discuss them at Committee of the Whole,
Okay, where are we, 23rd of March?
23rd of March.
That's a Monday.
That's right.
Okay. Are we okay with the 23rd of March to get these in? Okay? Okay. All right. Okay. That's done.
Did we vote on the motion about the,
Well, what?
we already voted on that?
On what one?
About the late applicants, yes. About the late applicants?
Yeah, we did. We're good. Okay, request for decision, design consultant proposal, Main Street. Miss Natalie.
So the town issued a request for proposal for the phase 3 of the Main Street extension of the streetscape improvement plan by invitation to 3 Nova Scotia firms with experience in urban design projects of this scale on January 29th.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Is the mic off?
Doesn't sound like it is. So the part about giving way to raise, don't repeat that.
Yeah.
He didn't hear it the first time.
Ding.
There you go.
Thanks, Nat. Thanks,
Thank
Jeff.
you, Wade. Councillor Wade. Mr. DJ. I'll start again then, since some of the didn't read here. So the town issued a request for proposal for the Phase 3 of the Main Street extension of the Streetscape Improvement Plan by invitation to 3 Nova Scotia firms with experience in urban design projects of this scale on January 29th of this year. Only one firm submitted a proposal out of the 3. The proposal that was submitted was by Phantom Studios, Inc., formerly known as Acoustics Plan and Design. They were the firm that previously had undertaken the design of the Phase 2 of the Streetscape project, as well as they helped us to develop the Downtown Revitalization Blueprint Plan. So they just had a change in name recently. They have an experienced multidisciplined team of professionals that will be assigned to the project. I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to what the project is about. So the Phase 3 of the Streetscape Improvement Plan is for the extension of the Main Street streetscape from Willard F. Allen Lane to Central Street. That's the project scope area. The timeline estimate for the project completion would be in 2022 and is dependent in some, on the timeline with some of the construction stages to align with other town street infrastructure capital improvement schedules. So we've got one happening on Glebe Street. Phantom Studio recently completed projects that are similar to the ones that we're asking them to do or recommending. One that you may know of is the Spring Garden Road Streetscape project. The other, the Argyle and Grafton Street project in Halifax.
Queen's Marquee, wow.
Yes, they've got a lot of projects happening there. They would be building upon the success of the last 2 implemented streetscape phases, as well as lessons learned that will include a more comprehensive community engagement and establish a stronger relationship with town working group, project staff, and local stakeholders. They will bring their expertise from other projects undertaken to explore and implement the latest in urban infrastructure on Main Street to include best practices and innovative design in stormwater management, accessibility for public spaces, tree planting solutions to achieve better growing conditions. Should council wish to accept the recommendation put forward, the project would commence with Phantom Studio in early March, and an estimate for completion by October of this year. With that, it is recommended that council accept the proposal as submitted by Phantom Studios, Inc. of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, to provide design consulting services. Oh, should I be reading this part?
Yeah, public, it's all public.
Sorry?
It's all public.
Okay. To provide design consulting services for Phase 3 of the Main Street Extension streetscape design in the amount of 51,438 Canadian dollars plus HST.
Okay,
We got a budget for that?
yeah, we budgeted, it's been
already
budgeted
approved.
for.
All right, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any
Question?
questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Yoo-hoo! Let's get to work on that.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's really exciting.
There's a next.
Yes. So the Sister City Advisory Committee. Go ahead there, Natalie.
So this request for decision is actually 2 items in one. It is for recommending to council the Sister City Agreement of collaboration between the City of Ijmistan, the Republic of Armenia, and the Town of Yarmouth. And it is also about establishing a Sister City Advisory Committee. So if I could kindly just give you a little bit of a background. The town adopted a Twinning Sister Cities policy on February 13th of this year in support of future Sister Cities initiatives such as this. In 2019, it marked the 100th anniversary of the arrival of the Red Cross nurse Sarah Corning, a native of Yarmouth County, Nova Scotia, in the city of Constantinople with 250 other relief workers. And over the next 11 years, she helped to rescue and care for thousands of Armenians and Greek orphans, often risking her own life. The Yarmouth Sarah Corning Society, with the support of the town of Yarmouth, had projects underway in Yarmouth to bring greater recognition to Sarah Corning, including the unveiling.
Can I go off again?
in the Republic of Armenia and the town of Yarmouth. In order to do that, I've identified some organizational requirements, and that is to establish a sister city advisory committee appointed by council made up of members from the community at large and council with the support from the CAO's office. A terms of reference for a sister cities advisory committee would need to be developed to support the activities of a sister city agreement with the city of Edgbaston and the town of Yarmouth. A budget would be defined within that activity. So it is my recommendation to council that the town of Yarmouth enter into a sister city agreement of collaboration with the city of Edgbaston, Republic of Armenia, and also a recommendation that the town establish a sister city advisory committee to identify the areas of collaboration between the two organizations and citizens, respectfully.
Thank you. Okay, so two things. That we enter into a sister city agreement. So what do you think, folks?
Goodbye. So,
Okay, moved and seconded. Hang on. Go ahead, Cliff, first.
Well, I didn't second it.
No, I know you didn't.
You did, Don did. So the parties are obliged, is the word, to coordinate and confirm particular projects of collaboration every year by regular exchange of letters. We've got an expired airport agreement from March 31st, 2019. We have an agreement that obliges the parties between Katie Band First Nation and ourselves to renew an agreement and meet on water and sewer every year. It hasn't happened in 20 years. Want me to keep going?
No, because.
We can't get two sister municipalities to join together and consolidate and reduce from 27 councillors to maybe 10 or 11. And we're going to be getting involved with realize the exchange of city delegations and establish further relations between the official representatives of cities. How much is that going to cost? Sorry.
Letters.
Really, you know.
Yeah.
Who's going to do all this for us? Have the staff got the time to do all these things, and then are we going to spend the money to do it? Anybody ask those questions?
You just did. Go ahead.
I was about to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Two, Natalie, because there are some significant reasons to get into this. And is there that much of an expense involved in this?
I think it could be as low cost as a Skype meeting and identifying a signing ceremony. The reason why we've identified a Sister City Advisory Committee that involves members of at large is that there are some citizens within our community that have a desire to move forward in a cultural, and maybe there is some economic development as it relates to their projects. And so I would recommend that anything that would have to be, that those budget considerations of what the contributions might look like and what the projects would have to come back to the committee of whole to council to be reviewed, approved, and prioritized. So I don't think it's a runaway ship. I think it's more, it could be a gesture of just friendship to the communities, and then it's determined what happens after that.
So that's one question. Second question from Cliff was, it's not just the money, it's the time, right? So it doesn't have to take a lot of time. You need your light on everything.
On a lot of things here with our sister municipalities, and we're financing various projects and that. And if we take another thing on, we have to meet, and we have to do what it says, or whatnot. Why add this load to the staff and they can't even keep up with some of the stuff we're offering?
Sorry, Wade, go ahead.
It's okay. Is that a valid point? I guess is my first question.
Well, I guess the number one question is we kind of reached out to them as a community, and they said this sounds like a great idea. They have about 10 or 12 other sister city agreements. I've been trolling them and did a full investigation, found, you know, what crimes were committed there, et cetera. Nothing bad. I don't see this as being a really large effort in its first year, much more potentially with approval from council for the signing of the agreement. And I think because, as Councillor Hood has said, there are other things that are of a higher priority that require staff and council's attention, that it can be paced as such.
All right, if I may. For me, I see it on a higher level. I really wasn't thinking as far as any kind of, I don't know, that much of a time effort or that much of a particular expense, and you've answered those questions as far as I'm concerned. But on a higher level for me, I think that there's some tourism potential just in the reaching out. To me, I have no problem with the reaching out. I think it's probably a good thing to do. Just because we have other problems doesn't mean we shouldn't be reaching out to other people. And if it's not particularly expensive or particularly time consuming, then I can see some advantages to this from a tourism perspective, if for no other reason. The Sarah Corning, the idea of the Sarah Corning statue is one of those things that will link us together and may encourage some kind of a growth in that aspect. It's not something we have to devote a whole ton of time to, in my opinion. Am I wrong, or am I right, I guess?
I don't think you're wrong. And I take both the points, the financial, but right now the time, because we got a lot of things to do. But I also think, because I've been thinking about this one, right? I mean, I've made great inroads with the Armenian ambassador, and this really can be as small as we want it. We're not committing to anything huge. We're just not. It's a couple of letters that we can, a Skype meeting, as you said. So I'm okay with that. But to Cliff's point, we can't invest this year. We just can't invest a whole lot of time and especially staff time. I agree with that. I do. But I will also say that I think as much as we keep it small, that this is really important. It's important to them. It's important to the greater Armenian community. It's a big deal having the Sarah Corning piece from here. So I'm good with going forward as long as we manage the expectations on the other side. Don?
I've got a cold, but
I got something.
I'm gonna say that that's just bridging the gap between Yarmouth and somewhere else shows great growth in our area. I'd just like to say that. Anytime that I can put the name on the map that the people from their country and the people from our country know that we have a sister city that we could possibly visit and share dollars is always a great thing for me. I'm just throwing that out there. We realize that we're busy with all kinds of other stuff on our plate, but I'm just thinking the benefits. Always think of the benefits that if one of them or a contingent of them or several families of them come to our town and spend dollars here, and we do it vice versa. Whether we open up the gap, I'm not a great internet person, but whether we open up the gap of families that live in that area and see the culture from their area and the culture from our area is always positive. So I would say that I realize that it's going to take some time. I realize it's going to take some, but we have a choice right now to set that time limits on each one of those. We can say, no, not at this time, maybe a month from now. Natalie has already done all the work. I hate to say it, a lot of the work of organizing this stuff and getting it together and thinking about it and scrolling through the stuff that they sent you. So I think she's done a lot of the major stuff already, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be now with the new world of Skype, the new world of going anywhere across the world by looking on a computer. I think we've come a long ways. So I'd say that, yeah, we need to at least think about this. I think we need to really think about that this is in the best interest for us and them too.
Thank you, Don. Yeah, so just. Yeah.
I wanted to put out in stark terms just how damned unsuccessful we are in our relationships right here in our own thing, and how much time this is taking up on part of our staff. And it's an opportunity here, maybe if we could show that we can get along with somebody in our community.
Well.
Just tell these guys to
So.
wise up.
So I want you to know from me, your points are not just well taken. I agree with what you're saying. I agree with that, the time and the finances, and we can manage that, which makes it doable. Yeah. Yeah, okay, good. All right.
Just to maybe add to what Councillor Cleveland said, that Sarah Corning is a really unknown entity in the province of Nova Scotia. It's people outside of our province, in Ontario, California, and other places where there's large Armenian communities that know of that name. So we've already done, I should say the community has done that investment last year with the investment and the time and the unveiling of the statue last year. So it's really that whole goodwill portion that is really the first thing that needs to happen this year, and work plans from the advisory committee would then come back to council.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay?
Question, Your Worship?
Questions called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Sister City Committee, do we want to do that now, or are we good? Okay. Establish a Sister City Advisory Committee to identify areas of collaboration. And I think I know what most of those are from talking to the ambassador. So that's just a conversation. Who wants to sit on the committee? I will. Okay. Okay. Looks like it's me and Phil. Yeah, so who's going to make that motion? Wade will. Okay. Second by Steve. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thanks, folks. Okay. Request, okay. Correspondence for action. There wasn't anything there, was there? Huh? Okay. All right. What's later? How much later? Oh, that's right. Sorry, I forgot we were in committee of the whole. Okay, additions. So I left you some additions. I'm sorry they're late, but I'm just getting stuff this week. So 10A, Dalhousie School of Nursing reached out and asked if they could use council chambers. So they're having a huge celebration because it's the 25th anniversary of Dalhousie being here in the town. It's a big deal. They're having all of their past people come in. Hundreds of people will be in town. And they just asked if they could use the council chambers, much like we did when the Armenian group was here, just a small group, select group of people. So what I did was I just worked with the CAO on the questions, and I sent them a request for answers, and I did get the letter. If you want me to read that, I can read that. I just got it now from Shelley. So all those questions. So that council permit the Dalhousie School of Nursing to use council chambers for a small reception during their anniversary, pending answers to the questions sent. So do you want me to read the answer?
Date would be nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I got a date. I know the date was clear because I, April 23rd.
Make that a motion, Your Worship. We grant the request.
Second.
Moved and and seconded. Any discussion or any issues? I can forward you all this letter. I just got it just now. 26 to 30 attendees, pre-dinner VIP reception. Within the guidelines of Town Hall, they would like to serve wine. If wine's permitted, we would contact alcohol and gaming, if that is a requirement prior to the event, so they'll cover all their bases. Any questions? Oh, I gotta ask them for Steve if they're making Sammy's.
Have we ever served wine in the hall here?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we have. Yeah, and so they'll call the alcohol and gaming just to make sure that they can do that. They'll either get their permit or they will be told that they can do it without, so. All right, and that's from Dr. Shelley Cobbett. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, 10B. Okay, so this was an addition too. That council referred to budget. I wish I didn't have to refer it to budget, Natalie, but a request for funds for MIT REAP project through the Department of Business. So probably a month ago or 6 weeks ago, I sent you out information on this project. It's a project that was piloted by the province a couple years ago. They had tremendous success. They work in conjunction with MIT, so it's a visit to MIT, and it's a regional economic project. So what happened with that pilot project, which impresses me, they had, can't remember Natalie, Chris Huskelson from Emera, they had John Risley from Clearwater. They had some pretty heavy hitters on that team, and there is a tangible outcome. So you're not just going to MIT, and they're not just coming here just to have discussions. There is a tangible project. The project is, I want to say this right. You learn through MIT how to figure out what you need most in your area to move you forward economically. With that first team, it was the Ocean Supercluster, which is huge. It's huge, especially for all of us. So the province asked if I would head up a team for Western Nova Scotia. I need to find a team of 10 from 5 different sectors, including post-secondary, capital, entrepreneurs.
What defines a Western region? Is it our REN?
Yeah, pretty much our REN. Yeah, it's pretty much the REN region. So we've done that, and we have the team, ACOA, and who else? Natalie, I can't remember. I don't have. No, who's funding? The province of Nova Scotia and ACOA are putting, I think it's like $500,000 to run this program, and all they're asking from the team of 10 is $30,000. So 3,000, basically 3,000 each, and it's just for buy-in. So Natalie and I are part of that team. What we need from council is those funds to be able to do that. It's really as simple as that.
So it's a total of 3 or it's a total of 6?
The total is 6 because it's 3 each. It's 3 each. So the other proponents that I've asked to be on the team, they're all paying their own way. Everybody.
I'll make a motion, Your Worship, that the town of Yarmouth grants a request from the MIT project in the amount of $6,000 or up to $6,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are we moving up to budget? Jerry?
It's going to be next. When's the trip? It's going to be next year or next.
Well,
fiscal?
it's going to be in May. The
I'll
first
make a motion
trip.
that maybe can we refer it to budget?
Refer to budget, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We good with that, Jerry? Any more discussion?
Question, Your Worship.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Accessibility policy. So CAO, I don't know if you want to speak to that, but he did put a copy of that just for information. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's for information to come forward at the March council meeting. It's just for information tonight. It's put on your desk. So we had got a little ahead of the curve with establishing a policy on an accessibility advisory committee. Then the province came out with their pilot and their initiative. And so what we've done, and Natalie has done here, is recommended that we repeal and replace our policy with one that matches the provincial model that was created through the pilot. And so that is a policy. It needs to be circulated 7 days before it's considered by council. So you now have it, and it will show up on the council agenda. Give it a read, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact either myself or Natalie.
Good. We all right with that, folks? Okay. D is the seafood and wine extravaganza request.
I'll make a motion, we receive, or can we table that? Make a motion, we table that until we receive more information. And I'd like to kind of include that, some of Councillor Hood's comments. Does that tie us to their request for the $10,000 in our grants application?
Okay. Yeah. Moved and seconded. I'd love to have your questions to pass on to them, because I've got a few. So anything you look at and you have a question, pass it maybe through Lindsay or, yeah, okay? What's that?
By right?
Oh, let's just do that by Friday. Can we do that by Friday? If I give people too much time, we won't do it. Okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. And Wade, TAP program, please.
Yes, okay. You may remember that the TAP program presented here. They presented on the 27th of November. TAP, by the way, is the Technology Advantage Program. It was the kids who showed up who are doing so much. They're doing an amazing job. They really are. And by the way, shameless plug here, listen to The Weekender, which is back again on Y95. And the first thing is an in-depth look at the TAP program, so you can check that out. They want to meet again, and they would like to know if they could meet perhaps at the Committee of the Whole meeting in May. And what they want to talk about is they want to present some of the compost solutions and some innovative ideas that they've come up with in working with Mark Brophy about composting. And these kids are pretty amazing, so they'd like to formally request a presentation on that day in May.
Yep, we got time. Have we got time open in May? Okay,
Okay, thank you.
good. So, you making that motion?
I'll make that as a motion.
Second by deputy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Do we have anything in camera? Okay. Motion to adjourn. And I need to go into a council meeting. So, I had it in front of me. Okay, record of attendance and all that stuff.
Make
We
a
have.
motion to excuse Councillor Fire.
Thank you. Go ahead, CAO.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. This is regarding the Glebe Street parking garage structure. Tender was posted on the Nova Scotia procurement site on February the 4th. The tender closed on Thursday the 18th. 5 compliant bids were received. The scope consists of concrete restoration of columns and structural slab, including waterproofing and asphalt replacement for parking. So in the memo, I believe it's on your desk. That's right.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have one other item, and it's really just information item. So as you know, as counselors, you're probably aware that we're in a transition period with our IT services. Our IT person resigned a few weeks ago. We've undertaken to do a little exploration with Lunenburg County Joint Services Corporation. They've presented at NSFM in the past in terms of their success in providing IT services to several municipalities in Lunenburg County, to the District of Shelburne. They provide IT services to the YMCA, including the YMCA here in Yarmouth. And so we spoke to them about the possibility of what they could do for us. Senior staff had that presentation, and we've received follow-up information. At the council meeting upcoming, I will be presenting to you a recommendation to enter into a contract with Lunenburg Joint Services. That contract detail has not been worked out yet, but I'm sure that will be the recommendation based on the information I have to date, but we'll formalize it and bring it forward at the March council meeting.
Good. Thank you. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All righty, good to go. Thanks, folks.